Since the dawn of time, man has been curious. And for almost as long, the Vibes Broadcast Network has sought the truth. Investigate, discuss, explore. Okay, maybe in other episodes, but this one is just listen to the vibes.
The views and opinions of our guests may not necessarily reflect those of the host or the Vibes Broadcast Network. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Listen to the Vibes. I have here Mr. Mark Merriwether Vorderbruggen. I did it. Sweet.
You did it. You did it.
A chemist, Ph.D, and herbalist. And so we're going to, number one, find out about him and what makes him tick. And we're going to talk about maybe putting some natural things into your life instead of all these drugs they want to push on us. And I must say, before we get started, I am not a doctor, and this is just a suggestion. If you feel you need to, talk to your doctor about any problems that you have. I just want you to know there's alternatives out there. So, Mr. Merriwether, tell us about you.
Okay, yeah. So like you already touched on, my education background, I have a master's in medicinal chemistry and a PhD in physical organic chemistry. I don't make molecules. I take molecules man and God has already created and use those to solve mankind's issues. I have 16 patents on different natural products. The first one was actually using cinnamon as a corrosion inhibitor for oil field equipment. And it's just gone from there. But my true love is the helping people through not just plants and mushrooms that our ancestors used, but actual changes in the lifestyle, going back to including things in your life that we evolved doing that we're not doing anymore, that's leading to health problems. So if you look at the data and you look at the human biochemistry and structure and brain and all these sort of things, you quickly come to the realization that a lot of our modern health issues are because the modern world, our bodies are maladapted for living in the modern world. We evolved in a much, much different world, a much more strenuous and stressful world. Maybe not stressful, but definitely one that involved a much more vigorous lifestyle. And like one of the things I like to point out to people, if you look at the floors, if you look at our walkways, if you look at our roads, our sidewalks, they're flat, they're smooth. It makes life more convenient. We can walk along the sidewalk, we don't have to think about it. But we've lost something with that. And that is, if you look, okay, let's go sideways for a second, but trust me, I'm going to stay on topic here. Japan. Japan has if you look at the Japanese demographics, they have the highest number of old people and the smallest number of young people. They saw this coming 30, 40 years ago. They already realized they have an inverted, demographic pyramid. And so they've put a lot of time into research, trying to figure out what can they do to maintain the health of the elderly as long as possible so that they aren't as much of a strain on the resources. And one of the biggest things they came up with is walking around outside on uneven ground. So walking around on uneven, so what's going on there? So they've shown that as you're walking around on this uneven ground, multiple things are going on. First, your brain has to constantly analyze what your feet are telling it and adjusting the body, keeping the balance, keeping the slippery and all this stuff. I recently did a 30-mile hike out in the Big Bend Ranch State Park climbing multiple 4,000-foot hills and so forth, and walking on softball-sized rocks. Every step of the way, I had to figure out where my foot was going, just so in tune with nature. But by doing that, you are really giving your brain a workout as it's adjusting your body and analyzing what you're stepping on and maintaining your balance. That's as good as like learning a new language or Sudoku or something like that. So it's a lot of brain exercise. That helps stave off dementia and other mental issues later on in life, or even right after it's going on. We'll talk about also the health benefits of just being outside in a minute. But right now, let's focus on walking on uneven ground. So the brain is adjusting your body. That involves the core muscles. And so your core muscles get a really good workout, which strengthens the core muscles. And there's a direct correlation between the strength of the core muscle groups and overall health. So walking on even ground, you're helping stave off dementia, you're strengthening the core muscle group. Another thing it's doing is improving your sense of balance. And so later on in life, they've shown then that you're less likely to fall, slip, and break a hip. If you're 70 or older and you break a hip, that's almost a death sentence.
Yeah, no, that's right.
I mean, most people within a year, they're just done. They go, this sucks, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
So just walking on uneven ground helps stimulate the brain, helps stimulate and strengthen the core muscles, helps improve the sense of balance. All these things that are directly key for good, healthy life.
Now I got to ask you, do you delve any in the psilocybins?
A great question. So I'm trying to figure out how I can answer that question without getting in trouble. Looking at the research, there is an amazing amount of really good research on how the psilocybin mushrooms and the other magic mushrooms really help with things like depression and post-traumatic stress disorder and anxiety. It really helps rewire the brain. Pretty much every culture, go back, eons and so forth, they all found these magic mushrooms and benefited from them.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of good research. Now, like anything, humans take something that makes them feel kind of good or whatever and decide if it's a little bit is good, a lot is more. And so you run into the problems, and that is the issue. So it looks like a lot of states, and maybe even eventually the federal government is going to, they're rethinking, they're realizing, hey, there are benefits here. So
yeah. I understand they're trying to make it in pill form.
Yeah. Well, we know the molecule.
Right.
That's responsible for it. So it's pretty straightforward to make or extract. And if anything else, let's face it, if the government realizes, hey, I can tax this and make money from it, they're going to allow it.
Right.
Maybe not right away, but yeah. I mean, we all know the stories of prohibition and all the violence and everything that occurred from that.
Well, and like you said, there's a lot of people that want to abuse that kind of stuff, and the benefits are in the microdosing, from what I understand. Well, I just started studying it myself. I haven't tried it or anything, but I'm really curious because I'm sure other people out there like me suffer from very different ailments. I've dealt with depression and anxiety for as long as I can remember, and PTSD, and let's face it, a lot of those medicines that they give you, they make the symptoms worse. And I mean, you're taking something for depression, but it says may cause thoughts of suicide. What?
Yeah. Yeah. And especially in younger people, teenagers and so forth, it's a huge problem. And again, just to go sideways for a second, if you look at pretty much all the young teen shooters, mass shooters, they've all been on those sort of antidepressant, anti-anxiety type drugs. So,
do you think
correlation is not causation? But
true. Okay, I know we're really just getting into studying CTE, but we've had instances come up in the news where a football player's kind of gone cuckoo because he's had one too many concussions. Mm-hmm. Do you think any of these natural supplements could benefit that?
Okay. Yes. Actually, there's a number of herbs that have been shown to help when administered after brain injury. Like there's one called skullcap, and what it does is it helps reduce the inflammation and swelling of brain cells, and has been shown to help speed up the healing of a brain concussion. I will admit, in 2016, I was in a really bad bicycle accident. Someone decided they wanted to be where I was in my bicycle, and they were in a truck. I ended up with a very severe concussion, and one of the things I some of my fellow herbalists were sending me this skullcap tea and things like that. And I really think it helped a lot. And if you look at the science for it, it definitely helps. There are things out there that, let's talk about this for a second.
Okay.
Evolution. Now, I was talking about the caveman stuff and maladapted. So the human race, Homo sapiens, goes back about 83,000 generations, somewhere around 250,000 years. Creatures that wore clothing, could make fire and chip stones into tools go back almost 2.5 million years. We know they were using plants and mushrooms as medicine to help maintain and support their health. So if you think about evolution, the evolution, survival of the fittest, those that responded best to the plant and mushroom medicines were most likely the ones passing on their genes. And so there's like an evolutionary pressure or coexistence or interweaving that we really are genetically designed to respond well to the plants and mushrooms of our ancestors, because that's what got them through their lives and why we are here now. So I forget what the question was already.
Well, we were
But,
talking
yeah,
about
yeah.
CTE and
Oh, yeah,
the
yeah,
use
and
of
concussion.
those things.
And there's actually kind of a misbelief that the caveman life was it brutish, short, and ugly. There's actually a lot of proof that it was actually quite pleasant in certain regards. There were times when it sucked, and especially if you were a young baby, yeah, the child mortality rate was very low, but if you survived to like 3, you had a good chance of making it, up into the 70s, pretty much like now. If you look at the old bones and the teeth and so forth, they were living in that and doing well. We ended up conquering the world. You gotta say, we are
Right.
tougher than anything else up there.
Well, I want to dive into as much as I can in the short time that we have, but someone like me, once again, I know there's lots of people that suffer the same things, deal with diabetes, high blood pressure, have cholesterol problems, things like that. Now, whenever I lost a lot of weight, that helped a lot.
Yes.
But I got off insulin, but I'm still taking things like metformin, because you have to do the
control.
Yeah, you have to do the maintenance and everything. But I am looking towards more natural stuff, because I'm sick of taking all these pills, and it gets expensive after a while.
Oof. That I can believe. Okay, so you listed all these things that I actually have products for: the blood pressure pill, the serenity pill, the brain pill, the liver. So, but before we talk about these, let's talk about lifestyle stuff, because you already said losing weight. That's a great thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, let's start with let's start with the brain. There's been some great research that's shown the more time you spend outside in nature, off the paved trails, the better your brain begins to function. So stress and anxiety and attention deficit disorder and even post-traumatic stress syndrome and all these things, the symptoms get greatly reduced when you're out in nature. Mm-hmm. The belief is, and these symptoms stay reduced for quite a while. But what's going on is when you're out in nature, back where we evolved, your brain is finally getting all the stimulus that it evolved to need. Your eyes are constantly scanning for threats and resources. You're hearing, you're constantly listening for, the sounds of things rustling in the brush, food or a threat. Mm-hmm. Your nose is smelling stuff. The nose is an amazingly powerful organ for picking things out. But in the modern life, our main goal seems to be not to smell anything, or maybe just a few, happy scents, and that's it. But our nose is amazing. Our sense of touch, the skin, the hair on our skin, it is measuring and checking which way the wind is coming from, mm-hmm. and sending that information to our brain, because that tells us, again, where something could be sneaking up on us or the direction we need to go to sneak up on something. We already talked about the sense of balance and all this sort of thing, but just scanning the ecosystem, all our senses are in there being used, stimulating the brain, and it's giving it what it was designed to take. A lot of especially the emotional and mental issues are due to the fact that the brain is not getting what it wants. Now, yes, in a number of people, there is an actual chemical imbalance in the brain completely unrelated to time and nature. But there's ways of helping that. But a lot of the modern life anxiety and depression, they've shown lifts if you spend at least 30 minutes a day, 4 times a week, just out in nature, picking up rocks and throwing them at trees. There's a whole thing about the evolutionary powers that throwing things at stuff gave humans that it did not give any other creature. So just the act of throwing things at stuff is amazing for you. If you're trapped indoors, learn to juggle, because again, it's great exercise for the brain. But being out there helps with all these symptoms, and it's even more powerful for kids. Getting them outside in nature, stimulating their brain through the whole body. No Oculus, meta world, whatever is going to replace being outside where we evolved to be, and all the health benefits you get from that.
Well, we are like brainwashed into thinking that Western medicine is the only way to take care of ailments and things. And
especially nowadays.
Especially nowadays. I've talked to people that are like into martial arts and things like that, and they tell me the benefits of like cinnamon and other things. I deal with arthritis as well, and we dismiss everything as, oh, you're just a witch doctor if you want to take something natural out of your garden to help with these things.
Yeah, I get that a lot when I talk about my products, and they say, oh, that's just snake oil. Plants don't have any power. And I say, you're drinking a cup of coffee there, and I know you smoke marijuana. Not you personally. No. So you're telling me plants have no effect on the human body? Okay, caffeine. So let's talk about that. And the first synthetic drug, non-plant, non-mushroom type drug, was created in 1836. It was chloral hydrate, and it was found to be a sedative and an anesthetic. And the scientists at the time said, wow, wait a minute, we got something here that nature never created, and it has powers on humans. If we can do that, we can do anything. And it basically launched the pharmaceutical industry as they searched out more drugs. Usually they would start with a natural product that they found isolated from some plant or mushroom, and then try and chemically change it into something to make it work better. Like Tamiflu. You've heard of Tamiflu.
Right.
Yeah, the flu. Great medicine. Great medicine. It is made from shishimic acid, which is found in cloves. So they take this precursor molecule from cloves and attach more chemical shrubbery to it, and it really does improve its power for fighting the flu. So, successes. There have been great successes. My original plan was to go into the pharmaceutical industry before I fell into, love with the natural products. Okay, so we got that going on. But the takeaway is, if you are trying to supply medicine for the masses, you need mass-produced medicines. Because it is effort, it's time, it's space, it's work to make plant medicines, to take the plants, harvest the plants, dry the plants, prepare the plants, do all this. It takes space, it takes time, it takes effort. And when you're trying to medicate 35 million people, here in the US alone, it's hard to do it with plants. We would have to, do a lot of changing in how we interact with the ecosystem and all these other things. So the mass-produced medicine is the medicine of the masses. But the herbals are the medicine of the elite, as they know what's going on, how they evolved. They can afford this stuff. I will say my products are a premium product. They, it's like the blood pressure pill. It's $39 for a month's supply of it, but it is a ginger, which has been shown to help convert the low density lipids, the bad cholesterol, into the high density lipids, the good cholesterol, the cholesterol your body needs. It has also been shown to interfere with the buildup of plaque in blood vessels. And it also soothes and de-inflammatories, or it's an anti-inflammatory for blood vessels, so irritated blood vessels. Good. It contains Rosella hibiscus. Rosella hibiscus is naturally increases the nitric oxide in the body. What the nitric oxide does is it relaxes and dilates the blood vessels. So as they get bigger, it's easier to pump the blood through them. Simple physics. And then it has the Hawthorne berries. And the Hawthorne berries are really neat because what they do is they suppress the stress responses of the hypothalamus, the pituitary gland, and the adrenals. So they suppress the like adrenaline release. So your heart doesn't start to freak out when you're suddenly feeling stressed or otherwise something that would normally trigger a bunch of adrenaline flowing through your body. It just kind of keeps the heart going, okay, we got this. Everything's good. We don't need to freak out. The Hawthorne berries have also shown to enlarge the diameter of the blood vessels that feed the heart and take blood from the heart. And they've also been shown to focus on strengthening the heart muscles itself. So all this is scientifically, proven stuff. The FDA says I can't make these claims about my formulation because it hasn't undergone the $14 million in testing. But I can talk about the powers that the research has found of the plants. So it all helps together there.
Whenever I first started drinking ginger root, it was my understanding too, it kind of helped with losing weight.
Yes, digestion. It also helps some with the blood sugar. And I'm coming out with the blood sugar pill here very soon. And this is things that, well, you mentioned the type 2 diabetes. Here's a tip for you before the blood pressure pill comes out, or the blood sugar pill comes out. Eat more slimy foods. So things like okra, prickly pear cactus, wild violets, things that have mucilage in them. Because this mucilage, what it does is it grabs onto sugar and holds it tightly and only slowly releases it. So when you're eating foods, especially things high in starches or carbohydrates and sugars, those sugars bind on there and don't go immediately into your bloodstream. You evolved so that when you get some sort of sugar, it goes to your bloodstream. So you can, take that energy and just use it right away. But the slimy foods hold on to that sugar. So instead of getting a big spike and then drop in your blood sugar, you get just kind of a mellow release, and a lot of it doesn't even come out. You had mentioned cinnamon. I have 2 teenage daughters. They love their coffees, which are basically milkshakes with a little bit of coffee added to it. All the cream and sugar and caramel and all. The requirement I have for them is they have to have cinnamon added to that. Because what cinnamon does is it actually interferes with the digestion of sugar. It basically blocks the sugar from passing into the blood again. So it's another way of helping control the blood sugar content. Very, very important for the diabetes, type 2 diabetes. And then the ginger, is it the ginger? I want to say the ginger also works with insulin sensitivity. That's another problem with the especially type 2 diabetes is your body is producing some insulin, but it's just not doing what it's supposed to be doing. The cells that the insulin is supposed to trigger just don't get triggered by it. So there are a number of herbs that help reduce this insulin sensitivity and allow the insulin to do what it's supposed to do.
My problem with insulin is it would make my sugar drop. And boy, I tell you what, you go down and it's like 3 days to recover.
I can believe it. Now here's another tip, and it's not a pleasant tip, but there's a thing called intermittent cold therapy. If you look at Homo sapiens, we have been through 5 ice ages. If you go back that 2.5 million years back to our earliest ancestors, it's 12. Imagine 2 more fingers being held up, 12 ice ages. So one thing, we are designed to live in cold weather. One thing they found, if you do this intermittent cold therapy, and there's a couple of ways of doing it. One, you just have to spend an hour a day at temperatures below 64 degrees Fahrenheit, or you can spend like 10 minutes or 5 minutes in icy cold water. Like if you're showering, when you turn the shower on in the morning, just get in that cold water and stay in it while it warms up. And then it gets warm and you shower, and then turn it back to cold and spend a few more minutes in the cold. But one of the things this does is you have two types of fat tissues in your body. You have the white fat cells, which, the belly fat, the extra fat that, the body takes the glucose and says, okay, I don't need it right now, so I'm going to turn it into fat and stick it in these cells in case someday later, when there's no food, I can start breaking it down and use it for that.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, nowadays, it's very rare for us to enter long periods of time when we have no food, so that fat just sits there. But there's another type of fat cell that's very, very critical, especially in cold weather. It is the brown fat cells. And what this is, instead of big globules of fat, these brown fat cells, they make little tiny globules of fat, little individual globules, high in iron. The brown fat cells are the cells that the body creates when it's repeatedly exposed to cold, because one of the things it does, it fuels shivering. So when you're shivering, it is taking the energy from the brown fat cells and getting that energy there. It's like an instant, hey, we need this right now. Getting the fat and the energy from the white cells, it's actually a fairly long, complicated chemical process. It's not instant on and away you go, where it is with the brown fat cells. But then as you develop more and more of these brown fat cells by exposing yourself to cold, the body says, hey, I got this energy here. I can use this for other things. I got enough of this brown fat. I think we're okay with the shivering. I think we got that covered. So, hey, you're walking up a flight of stairs. Let's use a little of this energy here. You're chasing after the school bus to give your kid his lunch. Let's use some of the brown fat here. So it speeds up, or it improves the use of fat, because it's going, instead of the slow release, a lot of paperwork involved to get that white fat going. We got this instant fat here in the brown cells. Let's use that. Here's another thing. Cayenne pepper. The capsaicin in it.
You're up my alley now.
All right. Okay, good. It has been shown to increase your overall metabolic rate. So 1 teaspoon a day, spread out throughout the day, helps to lift your overall metabolic rate. So even just sitting there, talking to people, via the internet, you are going to have a higher resting metabolic rate. So you'll be burning more energy and more fat and more calories just from that. So yeah, you need to be, go after the cayenne pepper. It is wonderful for you. It's been shown to increase physical performance. It's another one of these blood dilators. So it helps drop your blood pressure. You get better blood flow, especially in the extremities. So then you're better, less cold hands, less cold feet, less chance of gout, things like that, any of those sort of things. So, improved circulation is always a good thing, because you're pumping the stuff that needs to be pumped around, and you're more quickly taking out the stuff that needs to be taken out. So,
I grow a lot of peppers out in my garden, and we got a bunch of Carolina Reapers this last season. Anyway, I ended up putting them in a dehydrator and dried them all out, and then put them in this grinder and made powder out of it. So I guess that's the same thing basically.
Oh yeah, it's about 200 times more powerful than a cayenne pepper. So whereas with the cayenne pepper, I was saying a teaspoon. Yeah, with the Carolina Reaper, an
don't
eighth
take much.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, and you will get all the effects. Yes, sir.
Okay, I want to touch on garlic, because I know garlic has some benefits.
Yes, there is a trick to it though.
Okay.
So the compound in garlic, it actually needs to be exposed to air and water for a bit, and then there's some enzymes in the garlic along with the particular molecule that then gets changed into the really potent anti-cancer, antiviral, antibacterial, blood pressure lowering, all this good stuff. So when you're using garlic, you want to chop it up or smash it, and then let it just sit there on the cutting board for about 15 minutes.
Okay.
And allow that reaction to take place, and then add it into the food you're cooking. And then you will have that molecule you need. If you just chop it up and mash it up and immediately put it in the food, The heat will destroy that enzyme who is taking the one molecule and turning it into the other molecule. So, and then you don't get the health benefits. You get some health benefits, but you don't get all the health benefits. But if you really want the really potent, amazingly good health benefits of the garlic, chop it up, let it just sit chopped up, exposed to the air. Its own juices and the oxygen will then allow the enzyme to convert that one molecule into the other molecule that you really want, then add it to the food.
Should I just use fresh garlic? Because what I end up doing, because I'm lazy, I'll buy it already chopped up and ready to go.
Okay, if it's in like the jar in the
Mhm.
liquid, that one is fine.
Okay,
If it's
that's
the
what I
dried
use.
powder, it tastes good, but it's not going to have all the health benefits.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, the jar of the liquid, you know, olive oil or whatever, yeah, that's fine.
It seems to help because I use it in a lot of stuff that I eat. When I make tacos or anything like,
Yep.
of course, spaghetti sauce and all that, I use the garlic in it. And I'll tell you what, from when I first got sick up to now, it's almost like a complete reverse, all because I've been using a lot of natural stuff.
Yep.
And I wanted to make sure it wasn't a placebo. I was actually doing good with the garlic.
There's a great website. The US government actually has a website where you can go and you can look at all the medicinal research papers that have been published. And a lot of them, you can get the full paper for free or the abstract or at least the title. But if you look up PubMed.
PubMed?
Yeah, PubMed. If you just Google PubMed, it is the National Institute of Health's public medical electronic library. But the shorthand is just PubMed. They have a search term, and you can then put in there garlic medicinal, and it'll bring up dozens and dozens of research papers on the different health benefits that scientists have found with garlic. So PubMed, I think it might be pubmed.gov, but if you just Google PubMed, it will bring you to the National Institutes of Health, National Electronic Library of Medicine. And you can just look up, you know, cayenne pepper, prickly pear cactus, you know, strawberries, you know, all your favorite, you know, herbs and foods, and see what medicinal powers scientists have found.
I know a lot of people may not have the time or the space, but I have started growing a lot of this stuff at home because we use a lot of cilantro, basil, you did all kinds of different herbs, oregano, all this stuff. I have a nice little space in the back. I grow fresh tomatoes, like I said, peppers. We got Brussels sprouts, broccoli, cauliflower.
Great for you. Yeah.
All these things, and if you can, I advise that you grow some of this stuff because it's just there's something satisfying about eating it after you've grown it yourself.
But even more, they've shown that just working in the soil releases endorphins and helps with depression and anxiety and all this sort of stuff. It's like we evolved to interact with nature at a tactile level, you know, working with the dirt, working with the plants, working with the weeds, being outside. I've done some work with NASA and their space plant program. They have these amazing grow chambers where it's all automated. It has LEDs that give the plants exactly the wavelength they need. It has moisture sensors to make sure the water soil is perfectly right. All these things going on, totally automated, and they are failing miserably with domesticated plants. And so the astronauts have to spend more time individually with the plants, nursing them and checking on them. The astronauts love this. They love that time they get to spend working with the plants in space. The problem is they love it so much, and the plants are having so much problems that it's interfering with the astronauts getting other stuff done. And so I'm working with them with some different wild plants that should require less effort. They aren't as sensitive to the what's going on in space. One of the interesting things is, again, to go sideways here, plants have an immune system. Plants like us have to defend themselves against bacteria and viruses and all these sort of things.
Right.
For whatever reason, when plants are in microgravity, their immune system shuts off.
Really?
Now, yeah, we don't know why, but it turns off. Now, people think the space station, oh, this pristine environment, clean. It's not. Think of a a locker room that can't be aired out and has been there for 20 years. The International Space Station, one of the things the astronauts will tell you, the new people going up, that it stinks. And there's all this mildew and fungus and stuff growing around because they can't open it up and air it out. They can't spray, chemicals around to kill it because, there's no place for the to breathe it. It's just, they do what they can to clean it, but it's really getting kind of nasty. There was a thing in the news in 2031, it's going to be dumped into the ocean. It'll have outlived its lifespan. And part of it is just getting so nasty up there. Mm. But the wild plants, they have to fight. They're out and humans are not taking care of them like the domesticated plants. One of the deals we made with domesticated plants is, okay, we're going to take care of you if you take care of me. And so they do have a weakened immune system because we're out there protecting them. Whereas the wild plants, no one's protecting them. And so the hope is then that their immune system will not be shut down in the microgravity. So hopefully soon we'll have some more data on that.
There's something also satisfying about being able to go out and pick it off the plant and not have to go to the grocery store.
Yep. Paying to survive. You just pluck and eat.
When it comes to some of these wild berries and plants and things, I'm sure there's people that are reluctant because they don't know, is this going to be poisonous or what? Do you have any advice as far as how to know which is which?
Okay, yeah, depending on where you are, the best thing is to get a hands-on class from a foraging instructor. So that's what I spend my weekends doing. I travel all over Texas teaching people, this plant is edible. This is how you identify it. These are the structural features. This one is poisonous. You don't want to eat this one. So try and get in-person hands-on classes. Mm-hmm. If you can't, you can learn this. There are all sorts of books out there. So like Idiot's Guide Foraging. Oh, look, it's by me. But it has okay, we got a green screen effect here, but in the Idiot's Guide, we have the fruit, we have the whole plant, the leaf, the flower, all this sort of stuff, a map of where in North America it is, all this sort of stuff. So you want some good books, but really the trick is you start on your doorstep, look around, look at the trees, identify the trees. What are the trees around me? There are some really good apps now, like Plant Snap and Leaf Snap and iNaturalist, that are to the point where you can take a picture of like the leaf of the tree and it'll give you most likely what that tree is. Mm-hmm. Once you know the tree, then you look up, just Google, elm tree, edible, medicinal, and find out, are there edible parts of it? Are there medicinal parts of it? There are, especially with the elm, the inner bark, the seeds, the young leaves. There's lots of edible stuff on the elm tree, lots of edible stuff on the pine tree, lots of edible stuff on the oak tree, lots of it, all these trees. So start with the trees because they are the easiest to identify. Learn those. Okay, now you know what the trees are. Go through your neighborhood, identify all the trees in your neighborhood. Next step, go through your landscaping and your neighbor's landscaping. And if you don't know what these plants in your yard, let's say you bought the house and you don't know, the previous owner has all these plants in there, take pictures of those, go to the local nursery and say, hey, what is this? And they'll say, oh, that's Elaeagnus. Then you go back to your computer, Elaeagnus, edible, medicinal. Ah, the berries are edible. Great. Okay. So you got the trees, you got the landscaping plants. Now you look around for vines, because especially in Texas and actually overall around North America, there aren't that many vines out there. So it's another really easy plant to identify. Again, going back to like the Plant Snap thing, or just a guidebook, or just you type in Texas vines identification or New Hampshire vines identification, and it'll bring up, the dozen or so vines, and you go, oh, this is what I have, and this is what I have. Then you go, the cat's claw, edible, medicinal. Ah, cool. So you work through in stages: trees, landscaping plants, vines. Once you finish the vines, then you look at the wildflowers you see, any sort of wildflowers, because again, flowers are a really good way of identifying the plant. And again, especially Texas where we're at, we love our wildflowers. There's also
Bluebonnets.
Bluebonnets, poisonous. Don't eat. Oh, side note. In the state of Texas, you are allowed to pick bluebonnets. In fact, the only real public land in Texas where you are allowed to forage is along roadsides. So,
Didn't know that.
yeah, you can pick the aerial parts of plants. So you can't dig up plants, but you can take the aerial parts. Now, every state has different rules, but in Texas, you are allowed to forage along roadsides. I recommend the more, country roads, just because getting hit by a truck sucks.
And watch out for the sumac.
No.
Oh,
Yellow flag. Okay, so you're talking about poison sumac. Not a big problem in Texas. And poison sumac, as a forager, as an herbalist, is the most annoying named plant in the world.
okay.
Because the sumac with the clusters of red berries is a wonderful edible. It just happens to share the name with the poison sumac, which is related to poison ivy. Totally different plants, grow in totally different areas, have totally different structural features. I really don't know why poison sumac is called poison sumac, other than it does have compound leaves which turn red in the fall. Other than that, everything else about it is different than the common sumac, which is a wonderful plant. If you go to the website foragingtexas.com, you look up sumac there and you can see the different edible sumacs of Texas, and they are absolutely good. Totally easy to not mistake for the poison sumac.
Goes to show how little I know about those things.
Yeah, most people.
Now, when you have plants that are considered poisonous, can they be chemically altered to be beneficial, or this is just something you need to stay away from?
Okay, that's another great question, because let's use pokeweed. Pokeweed, it's a common southern plant. It's considered a wonderful delicacy, a beautiful edible plant. But I like to tell people, think of it as the pufferfish of the wild edible plant world. So if you know anything about pufferfish sushi, pufferfish is extremely poisonous. There are just a few little parts of it that aren't, and you need a really expert sushi chef to cut that out. And actually the goal is they get just a little bit of the poisonous tissue, so like your lips start to tingle and you start to realize, ooh, I'm near death, but ooh, it's really good. So pokeweed, it contains compounds in the leaves and the stems and the seeds and the flowers, all this, that basically destroy the mucous membrane layer of your stomach. So that slime layer gets dissolved. So then your stomach acids start attacking your stomach lining, your intestines lining, burn through that, and then start attacking your organs. And if it's not treated right away, you die. Mm-hmm. But I said, it's also considered a wonderful delicacy. When it's young, when it's just coming up, it's usually one of the first green plants that appears after winter, in the late winter, early spring. And you want to harvest it when it's about 9 inches tall or shorter, so about the size of a hand. Mm-hmm. You'd need to boil it. Recommended is boiling it 3 times. You put it in cold water, bring it to a boil, dump out the water, put it in fresh cold water, bring it to a boil, take it off, dump it out. Do that 3 times. You do lose some of the vitamin C, but all the other vitamins and minerals are heat stable. And it tastes wonderful. And you've reduced the toxicity. Where I'm going with this. There are some plants that all parts of the plant are edible. There are some plants that only small parts of the plant are edible. The rest is poisonous. And there are plants that maybe at just a particular time of year, they're safe to eat, and the rest of the time they're poisonous. So you do have to know the individual plant. Okay. There are some that you could change, like the pokeweed, by cooking when it's young. As it gets older, once it's above 9 inches, it has so much of this poison that even the boiling doesn't get rid of it. So you run into problems there. But it's each food is a little different. We haven't domesticated them. We haven't bred them to be completely non-toxic. There's usually something going on there. A lot of them are fine. Amaranths, wild violets, wood sorrel, cleavers, all these sort of things. Not an issue, but some of them do have a little bit of toxicity that you have to worry about. But even potatoes, if you might have heard the green potatoes, don't eat those. So if a potato tuber is exposed to sunlight, it develops what's called solanine, which is basically a neurotoxin. And so if you have a green potato, normally you don't want to eat it. Most people just cut the green away and say, I'm fine, and cook it up. And usually they're just getting small doses of the solanine. Your liver can handle it. But so even in the, the regular foods,
For me, when I eat potatoes, I eat skin and all. I love it all.
Yeah. Watch out for the green ones, though. If it's green, there's a poison in there that you should remove.
I'll
But
keep
yeah,
that
there's a
in mind.
lot of good nutrients in the skin of potatoes.
Yeah. Well, and to me, I just love the taste of it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But you can basically say all plants are beneficial. Is there any out there you can say, oh, we could probably live without this one?
Oh, okay. So here in Texas, the mountain laurel, all parts of it are extremely poisonous. In fact, it was the plant of choice for Native Americans. It was basically the final exit. If they decided they were going to commit suicide, they would take the leaves or the flowers or the seeds, things like that, and pass on to the next world. There are a number of plants that are really poisonous. Of all the plants, like if you took every plant in the world, maybe 10% are edible and taste good. There might be another 15% that are edible and have nutritional value but taste terrible. And then another 15 or 20% that really have no nutritional value but don't taste bad. Another group that have no nutritional value and taste bad. And then you start entering into the poison. So it's a continuum. There are good plants, there are bad plants, and there's everything in between.
Well, I know we can't get too in depth with a lot of this stuff, and I know if maybe in the future, if you come back, we could probably get more into certain ones. But someone, like I said, with me and the mental problems, is there any particular herbs, plants that you would recommend? And once again, this is just an alternative. This is not
product placement time.
There we go.
So I am the medicine man for Medicine Man Plant Co. We are a 3-person Texas company trying to bring back the ancient plants supported scientifically for modern issues. So the Serenity Pill, it has ashwagandha, it has the nutmeg, and it has passion flower. So the ashwagandha, mentioned, it helps suppress the stress response of the hypothalamus, the pituitary gland. No, sorry. That's the hawthorn. It basically helps build up the serotonin levels. The nutmeg, the passion flower, and the ashwagandha all work on the serotonin levels in the brain using different mechanisms. And so depending on what is causing problems with your stress and your anxiety, it's almost always there is issues with the amount of serotonin you're having. Right. And a lot of the antidepressive drugs, what they are acetylcholine inhibitors. And what they do, there's an enzyme in your body, in your brain, whose purpose is to get rid of serotonin when the serotonin is done doing its job. And sometimes you have too much of that enzyme, so it's just devouring, like Pac-Man, just eating up all the serotonin. So your brain doesn't have enough serotonin in it to feel good. So a lot of the antidepressive medications and the anxiety medicines, they work on that mechanism. The Serenity, the different compounds in there, like the passion flower. Passion flower has been shown to supply GABA to the brain, gamma aminobutyric acid, which is the precursor that the brain uses to make serotonin. So by increasing the amount of GABA in the brain, you increase the amount of serotonin. The same with the nutmeg. It is also shown to help increase and maintain and support the proper levels of serotonin in the brain. And then same with the ashwagandha. And the ashwagandha, one of the side benefits of the ashwagandha is if you are working out, it increases the amount of muscle mass you develop as you are working out. But it also imparts feelings of confidence and strength to the person. Okay. And kind of a, I got this sort of effect.
Right.
Really handy that way.
Was there like a specific dosage of each one that you have to have? Because, what's going to keep somebody from saying, hey, I'll just go make up my own.
And they're welcome to. So when I formulate all these different products,
Mhm.
I design them. I look through the scientific research. I figure out what is the proper amount of the particular plant or mushroom for the average American of 165 pounds. If you look at the national demographics, that's kind of like the average body weight of adults in the US. It's around 165 pounds. So the amounts of the plants are designed to give you, 165-pound person, the proper scientifically proven amount of the plant or mushroom needed. Now, if you are 50 pounds heavier or more, add another capsule. If you're 50 pounds less, take away one of the capsules. So you do have kind of a broad range there. So,
Okay, I got you.
165 pounds plus or minus 50 pounds, take the dosage on the bottle. Above it, add a capsule. Below it, take away a capsule. So,
And if somebody wants to get these products, where would they go to do so?
medicinemanplantco.com.
Okay.
medicinemanplantco.com. So it gives the different products, it gives the scientific research papers, it gives the traditional, where it came from and the history, it gives the chemistry, the different molecules in there that are actually doing the job, all that sort of stuff to help you really understand why I formulated the way I did and why it will benefit you. And let me also talk about the manufacturing, because that's one of the big issues people have with herbal medicines. Because there was a big scandal a number of years ago where, basically people were selling pills filled with sawdust and saying, this is elderberry, this is, all this sort of thing. So all our stuff is manufactured here in the U.S. Some of it originally was in Texas, in California, but we've contracted a company here in Texas now to start making all our stuff just down the road from me. It's awesome. So I can be there all day long. When we get the different raw materials in from the farmers, we send it out for testing, make sure, genetic, is it what they said it is? Is there any fillers or inappropriate materials in it? Any pesticides, heavy metals, herbicides, any microbial infection? Once it passes that testing, then the formulas get blended together, and then they get tested again just to make sure nothing accidentally got in there. This summer, we had some problems with the blood pressure pill. We had to dispose of 3 batches of it because they make it, but they couldn't get it mixed properly. So there was inconsistent amounts of the components in the capsules. That's not going to work. My name is on these bottles. My signature is on these bottles. I promised to make it right. So we ended up having to throw away thousands of dollars of product because they couldn't get it mixed right. So we finally changed the way it's mixed. Now it's fine. Okay, it's blended, it's capsuled, it's put in the bottles, and one more time, because I have trust issues, it gets sent out for testing, then it gets released. Also, the bottles they're glass bottles, so there's no issue of leaching anything from plastic. They're brown glass, particularly brown, because the brown glass protects the components from ultraviolet light from LED or sunlight, whereas clear glass, it allows the ultraviolet light through and it can actually cause decomposition of the compounds. So everything it's done to try and keep it as pure and as high quality as possible. So
okay.
I'm very proud of these things.
Now, suppose somebody wants to follow you on social media, or maybe they have a question they'd like to ask.
Yes.
How do they do so?
Okay, so if you have a specific question, any health-related question, go ahead and ask me. So Mark at mmplantco.com. And if you go to medicinemanplantco.com, there's a spot where, contact me. You can ask me a question on there. Social media on Facebook, there is Medicine Man Plant Co. Okay. Also Foraging Texas. So 2 Facebook pages that you want to follow. The Medicine Man Plant Co. is mainly the medicinal plant information. The Foraging Texas is mainly the edible plant stuff. On both websites, it has all my upcoming classes if you want a class in person with me. On Instagram, it is Merriwether Forager for the edible stuff and MM Plant Co. for the medicinal stuff. On YouTube, there's Dr. Merriwether, DrMerriwether, and hopefully you'll put all these links in.
I'm going to put that in the description.
I'll send it all. Yeah.
Yeah, if you could.
And so
please.
there's probably close to 200 hours of me on YouTube talking about plants and mushrooms and science and all that sort of stuff that I absolutely love. All sorts of podcasts and interviews and book reviews, and I'm kind of egotistical. You don't get a PhD without being somewhat egotistical.
So, can they get your book somewhere other than maybe the website?
Yeah. So the best thing, just order the book via Amazon.
Okay. I can put that link up too if you'll send it to me.
And I will say the way the Idiot's Guide works is they find an idiot to write a book. I don't get any royalties from this. All I do is I just every day read the latest reviews of how wonderful it is, and my head gets a little bit bigger. And so 70 plants found all across North America, not just Texas, but 70 plants that are easy to find, easy to recognize, easy to use. And then there's all sorts of, there's 30 recipes too on how to actually turn them into fancy foodie stuff.
That's right up my alley too.
Oh yeah. And then in May, I have Outdoor Adventure Guide Foraging coming out, also available from Amazon. I'll send you a link to that. It is by the same publisher. It is some of the same plants, but 20% of the plants have been replaced with new plants. A bunch of pictures. This one has good pictures. The Outdoor Adventure Guide Foraging has great pictures, but also all the recipes in the Outdoor Adventure Guide are designed to be campfire, out in the woods sort of cooking. In Idiot's Guide, they're more foodie, fancy kitchen, trying to impress your friends. Outdoor Adventure Guide, you're out in the woods, you want to eat something. What do you eat? Sort of thing. So,
do you have like smoothie recipes in there too?
Not so much. But in the description of the plants, there are some that I say this is good in smoothies, like wild violets, great in smoothies.
Yeah. I know you mentioned elderberries a while ago. I take that every day. I swear by that.
Good. Yes, it is a wonderful medicinal plant. It helps stimulate the active immune system. You have the innate immune system, which is the different the macrophobes that are just going around floating your body and eating anything that it feels doesn't belong there. But if they get overwhelmed by an infection, they trigger the selective immune system, which is when we think white blood cells and antibodies, that is the selective immune system. Elderberry has been shown to increase the speed at which the white blood cells and the antibodies are produced and the number of them, and get them to the infection site that much more quickly. I actually have the immune pill. There it is. So the immune pill, which has the elderberry, echinacea, self-heal, cordyceps mushrooms, and a little bit of vitamin C. All these have a long history of being used to support and maintain both the innate and the active immune systems. The cordyceps mushroom is really interesting because it's an immunomodulator. So if your immune system gets overstressed and starts freaking out, it can cause what's called a cytokine storm. You might have heard of this. It's where your body just goes, I don't know what's attacking me. Let's just kill everything in sight. And unfortunately, and your immune cells start attacking your kidneys, your livers, all this sort of stuff, your lungs, because it's just freaking out. If you go back to the Spanish flu, that was big, after World War I, the most likely people to die from the Spanish flu were the young, healthy men that had a really robust immune system, because they had the strong immune system and it just freaked out and destroyed everything in sight. So one of the concerns is, like with elderberry, because it does trigger such a powerful immune system response, that some people have a concern that it could increase the likelihood of a cytokine storm. There's not any good scientific proof that it does, but that's the reason I put the cordyceps mushroom in there, because when things start getting really hot and really heavy, the cordyceps goes, hey, let's tone it down a little here, guys. It's really neat, the chemistry behind it. But at the same time, it also says, hey, there's something going on. Let's bump the immune system up. So it's kind of like the general ordering the troops, at what level do you need to go? So I'm very proud of that formula too.
I know we have to be very careful about the subject, so I won't name the virus that happens to be going around.
There's a virus going around?
Go figure.
Not in Texas.
a lot of the more natural things that we have tried has helped us as far as, I mean, because I've caught it twice. First time we had no idea what it was. Second time we knew and we were able to test for it. But the vitamins and the other things that we took, it helped to fight this off. I was over it in just a couple of days.
Yeah.
So do these things help? I mean, we can't say that there's a cure or anything like
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
but it
So the individual plants and mushrooms in them have been scientifically proven to help maintain and support the immune system, to allow it to do its job.
got you.
Other things that help, getting out in sun. It boggled my mind that they were saying you can't go outside, because COVID will spread. Sunlight, vitamin D. Most people are deficient in vitamin D. It is critical, not just for the immune system, but for mental health too. It's like they were purposely.
Yeah, that's a rabbit hole I could go down.
Anyway.
We have to be really careful, unfortunately, because
yep.
people will censor you real quick, and just if you mention it. But once again, I'm not a doctor. He's a doctor. I'm not. You have to be real careful. You talk to your doctor. You decide what's best for you. Yeah. I'm not going to give advice either way. I know how I feel about it.
Yeah. Let's talk about that quickly for just a minute, because herbs are potent. And they can interfere, or they can, work with things. A lot of things are blood thinners. A lot of different things. So
and I do have to
if
take
you're
those.
if you're already on something like warfarin or something, you need to be a little careful. Either talk with your doctor, or the main issue is bruising. If you bump into something really hard, because of the blood thinners, you might end up with a bigger bruise than normal. Or if you're undergoing a surgery, undergoing surgery, it's recommended you stop most herbal supplements about 2 weeks before any sort of surgery. The liver pill has been shown to, the burdock root actually speeds up the action of the body to get rid of toxins. That's what the liver does. It's like the waste treatment plant for your body. And by speeding it up, you get rid of the toxins more quickly. Well, there are a number of medications that the liver breaks down. And so the end result of you may be breaking down the medication more quickly than your doctor thought you would be doing it. So you're not getting the full dosage of the prescription medicine then. WebMD has a great list. You can go to WebMD website and type in burdock root interactions, and it will give you a list of all the medications they know that will have a problem with being broken down too quickly because you're taking burdock root.
Okay.
With the brain pill, where is the brain pill? Somewhere in here. There it is, the brain pill. So it contains sage, ginkgo leaf, and lion's mane mushroom. Sage has been shown to be a nervine and a focusing agent. It allows your brain to stay on task. The ginkgo leaf increases the blood flow to the brain, bringing more oxygen and glucose, so you can, things you need. Your brain basically works like a muscle in that it needs oxygen and glucose to do all its thought process.
Yeah.
And then it has lion's mane mushroom, which has been shown to increase the number of neural connections between the brain cells, so you get more brain cells connected. But these compounds also can cause problems if you're on different like bipolar drugs, or some of the other strong mental type drugs. So that's a case then where you want to at least go to WebMD, probably talk to the person prescribing the drugs. But if you go to the website, like I said, it has the scientific research there. Other plants may be a diuretic. You might have heard like dandelion. Dandelion, the French slang name for dandelion is the pea in the bed plant because it is a very potent diuretic. That's a good thing because that's how your body gets rid of a lot of chemicals. Yeah. But again, going back to like some lithium, people that are on lithium, if they are urinating more, they are flushing out the lithium more quickly, so they're not getting the full benefit of the lithium. So
Mhm.
it's always a good thing to check out, if you're on prescription drugs, is there an issue with whatever herbs it is? WebMD is a good place to do that.
Well, I always say, talk to your doctor before you do anything. If you're not too sure if the doctor's steering you in the right direction, get a second opinion. Do your
Yep.
research.
Yep.
I have, and it's helped me a lot. I had one doctor said I can't do such and such for you, and another one said I can. Go out there and do your research, and I will definitely put the links up so people can get your book. They could follow you. They could maybe get some of these supplements.
Yeah. They can
And
contact me directly with, like I said, any health issue. I'm the tribal medicine man. My plan is to make you healthier. And like I said, on the Medicine Man website, not only does it have all the information, on the different products, but it also has lifestyle tips that if you start doing, hopefully will get you off this stuff.
yeah,
Because I want you to be healthy.
relief.
If I can make a little money off doing that, I got to put a roof over my head.
Hey, yeah.
Or my wife needs a roof over her head. I actually do fine out in the wild.
Imagine that.
Yeah, but the goal is to improve your life
That's
through
what we're here
lifestyle
for.
changes. Yeah,
That's
what
we're
I
here
want to
for.
do.
And if you have a specific, I don't know, herb or plant, whatever that you would like to talk about, my email is in the description. So shoot me a message. I'll see if I can get Mark to come back on and we'll talk
sure.
about it. I would love to expand this, and I want to keep in touch because I'd like to have you back on in the future.
My pleasure.
So
We've just scratched the surface, my friend.
exactly. We got to introduce
Yeah.
it somehow.
Yep,
So
yep.
unfortunately, we have run out of time. And once again, let me know if there's something you'd specifically like to talk about, or if you have some kind of ailment and you want to see if there's something natural that you could do to help that. Please shoot me a message. Go to his website, shoot him a message. We'll try to help you out the best we can.
Yeah, and even if I'm not currently selling a product that will help your specific need, I will tell you, if a competitor has it, go back to the whole Miracle on 34th Street, Santa Claus sending the people to the different stores. That's where I grew up. So my goal is to help you, even if it helps, a competitor, because in the end, we're only here for a short time. We may as well try and help each other, make the world a better
That's
place.
exactly
And
it. Bring some positivity in this world.
exactly. Let's just travel this path together and try and take care of each other, whatever it takes.
Hey, unfortunately, the world is geared to try to separate us right now. Let's fight back against that, and let's bring everybody together.
Friendship is rebellion.
Hey, thank you. That's a good saying right there.
Yep.
But anyway, until the next one, please, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. And if you're a regular, thank you for your support. I couldn't do this without you. So until the next episode, everyone, please take care. Be kind to one another. God bless and peace.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Listen to the Vibes. You can catch us on Buzzsprout or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, and on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook at The Vibes Broadcast Network